The Returning Gods. Prologue. The starship Artemis drifted through the void, its sleek silver hull reflecting the faint glow of a distant sun. Captain Rena Orlov stood at the helm, watching as the swirling colors of hyperspace faded into the inky blackness of real space. "Systems check," Rena ordered, her voice calm but commanding. "Engines nominal. Atmosphere stable," replied Lieutenant Harris from the engineering console. "Looks like we made it, Captain." Ahead of them was the destination, a planet catalogued as XR1574, nicknamed Talaus by the crew. Its pale green oceans and jagged mountain ranges shimmered like jewels in the darkness. Officially uncharted, Talaus had been chosen as the next potential candidate for colonization. Rena allowed herself a small smile. They were pioneers venturing into the unknown. But as the Artemis began its descent toward the planet's surface, the ship lurched violently. "Impact detected," Harris shouted. "Brace for." The Artemis tore through the planet's atmosphere, flames licking at its hull. Systems shorted out, and the crew's desperate shouts filled the cabin. Rena's last thought before the crash was of Earth distant, fragile, and suddenly impossibly far away. Chapter 1. Strangers in the ruins. The Artemis lay sprawled across a rocky plain, its once pristine hull scarred and smoking. Rena coughed as she stumbled out of the wreckage, the air thick with the acrid smell of burnt metal. "Everyone okay?" she called, her voice hoarse. Harris emerged, clutching his side but nodding. A few others followed, bruised but alive. The landscape around them was barren yet strangely beautiful. Jagged cliffs rose in the distance, and strange, bioluminescent plants glowed faintly in the twilight. But what caught Rena's eye was something far more startling. In the valley below, ancient ruins sprawled across the land, monolithic stone structures covered in intricate carvings, and they were unmistakably human in design. Captain Harris whispered, his face pale. This shouldn't be here." Rena felt a chill. Humans had only recently ventured beyond their solar system, and Talaus was 20 light years from Earth. There was no record of any prior missions to this planet. "Everyone, stay alert," she said. "We're not alone." Chapter 2. The Silent Watchers. The crew descended into the valley, their weapons drawn and their footsteps echoing against the ancient stones. The carvings on the walls depicted scenes of humans tall, regal figures standing beneath strange stars. "These carvings," said Dr. Elise Kwan, the ship's xenologist, "they're old. Thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands." "But how?" Harris asked. "We didn't have space travel back then." Elise shook her head. "This changes everything. Either our ancestors had technology we've forgotten, or someone brought them here." Rena finished grimly. Talaus was 20 light years from Earth. There was no record of any prior missions to this planet. "Everyone, stay alert," she said. "We're not alone." Chapter 2. The Silent Watchers. The crew descended into the valley, their weapons drawn and their footsteps echoing against the ancient stones. The carvings on the walls depicted scenes of humans tall, regal figures standing beneath strange stars. "These carvings," said Dr. Elise Kwan, the ship's xenologist, "they're old. Thousands of years, maybe tens of thousands." "But how?" Harris asked. "We didn't have space travel back then." Elise shook her head. "This changes everything. Either our ancestors had technology we've forgotten, or someone brought them here." Rena finished grimly. As they ventured deeper into the ruins, the crew felt an unsettling sensation, as if they were being watched. Strange shadows flickered at the edge of their vision, and faint whispers seemed to drift through the air. Then they saw them. Perched atop the ruins were the inhabitants of Talaus. The aliens were tall and weary, their skin shimmering like molten gold under the alien sun. Their elongated faces and piercing, luminescent eyes gave them an ethereal, almost divine appearance. "Captain," Elise said nervously, "I think they've been waiting for us." Chapter 3. Gods among mortals. The aliens did not attack. Instead, they descended from the ruins in a slow, deliberate procession, their glowing eyes fixed on the humans. The leader, a towering figure draped in shimmering robes, stepped forward. It spoke in a melodic, otherworldly language, its voice resonating like the hum of a deep bell. "We don't understand you," Rena said, lowering her weapon and holding her hands up in a gesture of peace. The alien leader paused, then raised one slender hand. To the crew's shock, It spoke again, this time in broken, ancient Earth dialects. "You have returned," it said haltingly. "The Avaru have awaited the gods." Rena exchanged a look with Elise. "They think we're gods?" Elise nodded slowly. "It makes sense. Look at their carvings, they must have been waiting for humans to return for centuries. We might be part of their creation myth." But not all of the Avaru seemed pleased. Among the crowd, some aliens hissed and murmured, their glowing eyes filled with suspicion. "Not all gods are welcome," one alien growled in its own tongue. Chapter 4. The Forgotten Ones. The Avaru led the humans to a great temple at the center of the ruins. Inside, the carvings grew more detailed. They told a story of human colonists arriving on Talos long ago, bringing advanced technology with them. The Avaru revered these humans as gods, learning from their tools and teachings. But then the story turned dark. The humans had angered something, a vast, unseen force that came from the stars. The carvings depicted destruction, and the colonists disappearing, leaving the Avaru behind. "Captain," Elise whispered, "this might explain why there's no record of this colony. Something wiped them out." Rena frowned. "If they had this level of technology, why didn't they fight back?" "Maybe they tried," Elise said, "or maybe they knew it was hopeless." Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion outside. One of the Avaru, a warrior clad in jagged armor, shouted angrily at the alien leader. The crew couldn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. "Descent." "They don't all think we're gods," Rena said. "No," Elise agreed. "Some of them think we're imposters." Chapter 5. The True Threat. That night, the humans stayed in the temple, guarded by the Avaru. Rena couldn't sleep. She wandered the halls, staring at the carvings and wondering what had become of the original colonists. Her thoughts were interrupted by Elise, who had been studying the carvings more closely. "Captain, I think I've found something," Elise said. She pointed to a section of the wall that depicted a massive, shadowy shape descending from the stars. This force that destroyed the colonists, it wasn't natural. It was something intelligent. "You're saying it's still out there?" Elise nodded. "And if the Avaru think we've brought it back?" Before she could finish, a distant rumble shook the temple. The air grew thick, charged with static electricity. Rena and Elise ran outside to see the source of the commotion. Above the ruins, the sky split open, revealing a massive, dark shape descending through the clouds. It was a ship, or something like a ship, its surface writhing like liquid metal. The Avaru fell to their knees, wailing in fear. Chapter 6. The Wrath of the False Gods. The humans scrambled to prepare for whatever was coming. Harris and the other engineers managed to salvage a few weapons from the wrecked Artemis, but they were hopelessly outmatched. The alien ship loomed over the ruins, and from its underside emerged smaller vessels, sleek and insect-like. They swarmed the valley, firing bolts of searing energy that tore through stone and flesh alike. Rena rallied the crew and the Avaru warriors, organizing a desperate defense. "Elise," Rena shouted over the chaos, "can we communicate with it? Tell it we're not a threat?" "I don't think it cares," Elise shouted back. "This thing destroyed an entire colony. It's not interested in peace." The battle raged on. The humans and Avaru fought side by side, but it was clear they were losing. Chapter 7. The Sacrifice. As the situation grew dire, Kael, the dissenting Avaru warrior, approached Rena. "You brought this upon us," Kael said, "but you can also end it." "What do you mean?" Rena demanded. Kael gestured toward a hidden passage beneath the temple. "The gods left behind a weapon, a way to destroy the invader, but it will cost everything." Rena didn't hesitate. She led Kael and a small team into the passage, where they found a control room filled with ancient human technology. In the center was a device pulsing with energy. "This must be it," Elise said. Rena activated the device, and the temple began to shake. Outside, a beam of brilliant light shot into the sky, striking the alien ship. The invader shrieked, its liquid metal surface dissolving as it retreated into the void. The weapon's power